Welcome everybody, my name is Jeff Counts. I'm the General Manager of the Grand Teton Music Festival. I'm sitting here with my colleagues at the end of a week that has been 40 days long. We have just finished Music from the Mountains. I'm joined by Vic Muenzer of CD Syndications. You are the sound engineer and producer of the audio portion of the show. Alex Olegnowicz from Symmetrica Inc. Alex is the director of Music from the Mountains. Nandy is with us as well, also from Symmetrica, and you're director of photography. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
So, as I said, we've had a long week. There's been a lot of amazing stuff going on here, incredible music on this stage, lots of technical challenges, which you've risen to. Thank you. Let's talk about how the week started, though, because you two surprised us by flipping not only the script, but the entire visual syntax of this week by filming from the direction of the stage into the house. What was behind that choice? Why?
I think when we walked into the hall, it was clear that we had to make the point that the musicians are here to perform, but the audience is not here. And I think it's very important to bring it across to everyone that the music is still here, it's still alive, regardless if we can't be present in the hall.
Vic, did this change anything for you? I mean, this is a very good acoustic space, but it's specifically acoustic. You're used to doing things a certain way. What did this flip mean for you?
Well, concert halls are usually built to work one way, where there's material behind the stage, on the sides of the stage, meant to project everything out. When Alex came, as fate would have it, I had already hung the mics, assuming a normal position. So, I mean, Alex, your life is in good hands. It's okay. But, it did mean that Doug and I had to rehang everything. You can't probably see it, but it was up there. Now it's up there. And the joy of hanging mics is quite interesting because it requires two people. One person has to go way up on top of the clouds of this concert hall, drop mics down, and then we have to get the cables to just the right length, use fish line to tie it off, get everything positioned just right. But I do agree with the editorial decision that seeing the hall this way right now is a very poignant visual experience. And so I was all on board when they said they wanted to change.
How do you feel about the sound in terms of the results of the week? How are you feeling?
Very good, very good. I mean, this hall is such a great hall. It works in so many different ways and fashions. And it's a different sound than we're used to, but still a great sound, and I think you should enjoy it.
Yeah, one of the things we heard from the musicians all week is that the distance was difficult for them because we took safety incredibly seriously. We were masked up at all times. Doug and I wore gloves whenever we moved stuff around on stage. We were really, really diligent about the safety because we promised everyone involved that we would be. And one of the things we heard from the musicians is how difficult it was to play so far apart from each other. So I'm curious from all of you, we'll start with you, Vic, but what challenges did that present as an engineer?
Well, the first thing I'll say is that this is a hall built for an orchestra. This is not really a chamber stage because the hall is very wide, very deep. And so when you spread people out, they're really not getting that support from the near walls that might help them hear better. Other than that, I hung some extra mics to create greater coverage. And in that sense, I felt like it was very successful. It was easy to hang a couple of different really high-end mics. We're using Shep's mics up there. And I was very pleased with the results.
You guys have recorded a lot of chamber music. This is not your first rodeo with classical musicians. And I find myself now when I see older videos, some of the stuff you've done with chamber musicians, string quartets, they seem to be sitting preposterously close to each other. I mean, it's funny how my brain has already shifted to expect at least 6 feet of difference between everybody. So how was this week different from what you've done in the past? What were the challenges for you guys with the increased spacing?
Well, what we've done always in the past is the traditional setups where the musicians are really close, they can hear each other. And I think that the challenge is also part of the current situation where everybody has to be apart, but it also makes, I don't know if you agree with me on this, it makes for a fairly boring photographic experience where people are too far. It's hard to capture, the what music is supposed to do, which is bring everybody together.
We're trying to make something intimate that is by its physical nature
Impossible.
the opposite. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and Raj, you can talk more about the lenses and whatnot. The lensing is completely different than we usually do.
I think I'll start with the angles. I think with this, we were picking angles that tried to connect musicians rather than isolate them for a specific part, whereas I might have done something flatter in another situation where musicians are really close together. Now that looks really awkward if you shoot from a flatter angle because there is that huge space. So I've just sort of try to line things up where you can see the sight lines, and then that way things kind of feel a little more intimate, a little closer together. And to me, that looks a little more interesting, and you get that sense of depth and that sense of connection. But yeah, it's more about the angles I found, and it's completely different with the larger orchestras where everyone is packed tighter, and you can see that connection because they're literally like a half foot away.
I don't want to just talk about the challenges. I want to talk about some takeaways from the week too. For me, the takeaways, there's two, and they're related. Well, I'm wearing all black because there's no such thing as a job description in a week like this. I got press ganged into page turning for Donald Runnicles and Eufeme Bronfman. Yes, I'm excited about that. And I was sitting there for FEMA during the last session today thinking, there's just no substitute for being this close to music, for being this physically close to music while it's happening. Looking over that genius's shoulder while he works was an experience I will never forget. But that's the great thing about Music from the Mountains. That's exactly what we're trying to recreate here. Rather than concerts from home, rather than even, frankly, the experience people normally have in this space, we tried to create something that's as close and as intimate and as immediate as what I got sitting over there next to FEMA. So those are my big takeaways from the week. That's the stuff I'm most proud of. What about you, Vic?
Well, the first thing I would say is that it feels like we tried to produce a whole Star Wars trilogy in 1 week, and I think
not the prequels.
I don't know. We could discuss that.
Oh, I like them, but they're not popular.
No, I know, but no. I mean, what we achieved in 1 week is astounding. For me personally, as I've been quarantining since March in a little apartment in Chicago, to drive 1,500 miles and come out here and experience this week with everybody. It's just been an absolutely magical moment in my life musically, and working with all of you, certainly Alex, Raj, Jeff, Simon over there if you're off stage, all of you guys over there, it's been such a great crew to work with. And I feel, for me, I feel profoundly fulfilled that this was just a great, great experience. And I hope we do more, because I want people outside of Jackson to really experience this festival. So for me, I hope this is the beginning.
Well, you're a longtime member of this family, Vic, so thank you for everything you've done. As new members of the family, let's hear from you guys. Raj, what's the takeaway from the week?
I think first off, just working regularly for a week, day in, day out, after having months off was really nice. And obviously working with the crew here and everybody who's already knows each other, getting to know us and welcoming us in, that's been awesome. But I think for me, in terms of the musicians and the performers, the stuff between takes is always the most interesting. And so being privy to their concerns as musicians and the things they didn't like, the things they did like, and how they interact, that is always really fascinating to me. It never gets old, how musicians communicate with each other and subtly tell each other, this wasn't working, or that wasn't working, or you were slow, or I was fast, or whatever, all of that, I love it.
Before you get the last word, Alex, I want to riff on something you just said, talking about not working for a while. I realized after all these months of doing nothing that the work I do, even this behind-the-scenes work I do, it requires muscle tone, and it's all atrophied. It took me days to remember what I'm supposed to do. I think I had my shoes on the wrong feet for at least 48 hours before I was able to figure things out. Do you guys feel that way too? I mean,
Yes.
was it difficult to get back to work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Alex, last word. What are your takeaways?
Well, it's still trying to, and I'm not trying to use the word lightly, reimagine. Everybody's talking about reimagining, but it really, more than reimagining the concert experience, which has to be done, it's reimagining the human experience. I think that after, sitting at home for 5 months, doing everything via a screen, and being back in the concert hall makes me think a little deeper into why we're here. what are we supposed to be doing? And that's, for me, the real takeaway. We were back together as close as possible, not as close as humanly possible, but as close as the situation allowed us to feel the human connection. And I think that's what's really hitting me strongly in the heart.
Well, that's well said. And I want to thank the three of you from the bottom of my heart, from everybody on the full-time staff. This, old friends, new friends, this could not have happened without you. And it's incredibly meaningful that we do this work together. We're behind the scenes. We're sitting here on stage for a reason, because you're artists as well. And thank you for everything you brought to Music from the Mountains.
Deeply appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.